What's going on, guys? Taz here with Pixel Media coming at you with another video. Today we are talking about how to get better photos with your phone. Now that I got my phone, I'm gonna go through just a few tips that I really think are gonna help you guys take better photos with your phone every single time. And I know if you have a phone, chances are you take photos with it, and like, why not? Because this is like, phones are now like an all-in-one thing. It's GPS, it's a camera, and sometimes it's the last thing it is a phone. Phone cameras are getting so good now, guys, that they're actually rivaling some point and shoot or DSLR cameras. You know, the technology that's going into these things is crazy, so why not try and get the best possible photos out of what you have in your possession? First and foremost, before we get started, what you need to understand is that lighting is key. Whether it's natural light, whether it's indoor light, whatever it is, it's just light in general. Don't get, confused with the type of light, but just the light in general is king. Keep that in mind. So if you don't have any light, you don't have a photo. So when you do have light, you want to make the best use of it. So tip number one is shoot with your light, meaning try not to have your subject, whatever you're shooting, backlit. So what we're going to do is we're going to use an example of my camera that I shot on my phone. So the first photo that you see right here, the sun is actually behind the camera, and what that does is if you're backlit, if the light is behind your subject, you're going to get what's called a backlit situation. Your camera's going to have a hard time exposing for your subject, and your subject's probably going to be pretty dark. We've all probably taken a photo like this. I don't know many people who haven't ever taken a photo like this. You have a light, you're inside, maybe you're by a window, maybe doesn't matter the situation, but the light is behind your subject. You try and take a photo of your subject, and your subject is dark. So a really simple tip for that is just to rotate around. Say, hey guys, you're a little backlit right now. Let's turn around 180 degrees. So then what happens is that light is now in front of your subject instead of behind, and then they're much more illuminated. So the second photo you see here, I just flipped around. Literally, I was shooting like this. Here, the sun is in front of me right now. I was shooting my camera for the first photo, meaning the sun is behind my camera, I'm backlit. But what I did, I just turned right around, boom, took a photo again, and you can see that the camera is much more lit now. It's gonna be much more clear just because the light is now working with you. So tip number one is shoot with your light. Tip number two is right before you take the photo, tap on your subject. So tap the screen, tap on your subject. What that's gonna do, it's gonna make your camera focus and expose properly for your subject. So if you don't tap on your subject before you take the photo, what your camera's gonna have to do, it's gonna have to guess. It's gonna have to guess what it's shooting at. And sometimes it gets it right, sometimes it gets it wrong. But if you tap on your phone screen, for example, let's use my camera again. I was taking a photo of my camera and I tapped on my camera. Sometimes it's exposed properly already, sometimes it's not. But what that does is it ensures that your subject, whatever you're taking a photo of, is in focus and it's exposed for properly. So an exposure, if I didn't explain this already, exposure is just making sure the lighting is correct for your subject. So tip number two is tap on your subject before you take the photo. All right, so tip number three is using the auto exposure and auto focus lock feature on your phone. So I have an iPhone. I'm not sure exactly how it works for Android, but with the iPhone, all you have to do is press and hold on your subject until you see the yellow box kind of shutter a little bit, and then you'll see the AE/AF at the top of the screen in the camera app. So what this does is it locks your settings on your subject so it doesn't change. So say you move the camera, you're not gonna lose your exposure settings on something else. So locking the exposure and the focus makes sure your focus stays exactly where you want it the entire time. Tip number four is underexpose your photos just a little bit. So essentially what this means is after you have the exposure and the focus locked, what you can do is you can drag your thumb down on the screen, and what this is gonna do, it's gonna darken the photo a little bit. Now you're not gonna underexpose this a lot. You're just gonna take your thumb, and after it's locked, you're just gonna drag your thumb down just a little bit just to darken the photo enough so that those highlights are preserved. What happens if you don't do this sometimes is that your highlights can get blown out. Blown out basically just means that they're so bright, the bright parts of your pictures are so bright that when you go to edit it, you can't get them back, and it's just pure white. And you don't really want a whole lot of that in your photos unless you're going for like a very, very white background. Whereas in most photos that you want to take, you don't want that huge white blown out, almost like infinity look where there's nothing behind the subject. And the final tip here is sometimes less is more when you are editing your photo afterwards. Now, if you use an editing app, don't go crazy with it. Sometimes all it takes is just a little change in the exposure, messing with the colors a little bit, and you're good. So don't add a ton of adjustments to a photo unless you really think you need it. Adding too many adjustments can make the photo look kind of fake, can make it look over processed, and you don't want that look. You want a natural look to your photos, and so keep the editing to a minimum. Now, I can make an editing video of how I edit my photos, and again, sometimes less is more. You don't want to go overboard with the editing, and because obviously if you take the time to take a good photo, you don't want to mess it up with too many adjustments after the fact. So with that being said, guys, that is the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know below what you thought. I hope these tips helped. If you have any other tips that you use with your photography, leave them below. I'd love to know, or even with camera photography, it doesn't matter. Just let me know below, and I would love to chat with you guys. I love learning more. I love talking to other people who have experience in this field, and even if you don't have experience in this field, drop a comment below, ask any questions. I am an open book. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys in the next one.